Hi, this is Simon with just a brief reminder to follow us on our Facebook page, Chronicles on the Fly. Like the page, send us a message, any questions or anything that you would like us to talk about. And maybe on the next episode, we'll do just that. So there you go, Chronicles on the Fly on Facebook. Thanks. Let's get into the show. There we are. Got Milo.
What's going on?
Oh, mate, what's going on? Just got to work, had my coffee.
You spill it?
It's all happening. Hey? No, this time I didn't spill it. I was even carried it up the stairs and I was careful. Yes, I learnt my lesson. So what are we talking about today?
There's not really much to talk about. So the AFL's back.
Yeah, what's happening with when's it starting?
It's June 11th, isn't it? Blockbuster, big blockbuster game, you know. Collingwood, Richmond, of course.
So we're going to be the
Gold Coast Eagles.
Gold Coast Eagles. Yes, that's what I was going to say.
That's right. Yeah.
I think there is an amateur team called the Gold Coast Eagles, if I remember.
It's East. No, there's actually another team.
Or is it East Coast Eagles? Maybe.
I think it's East Coast Eagles and NFTL or something. One of those other teams.
You know, there's even a team in Italy called the Eagles, an AFL team.
There's one in the United States as well, I think.
Is there?
Yeah, East Coast Eagles, here we are. It's an Australian rules football club competing in the Sydney AFL competition based out of Sydney of Rouse Hill, New South Wales. And exactly logo everything.
That's not the same level as the waffle, is it? Like the state competition over there, is it?
I couldn't answer that.
Surely
it says Sydney AFL club. So they must have an affiliation with the Eagles. West Coast Eagles.
Well, yeah, I think the Eagles have provided a lot of these small teams around the world, like that Italian team that I mentioned. They've sent them like Guernseys and stuff and tracksuits and equipment.
I know there's one definitely in America they've done it too. I think there's one, definitely in America. So.
Yeah, it's good.
Good on them. I mean, they got plenty of money, the Eagles. Unfortunately, AFL's making them, to reduce their coaching staff to 25 because it's not fair on the other clubs. Socialism at its best. I've got to love it. AFL socialism.
Well, the Eagles sent out an email yesterday about what they're doing with the memberships for this year. So I think I haven't gone into a lot of detail. I haven't read through it all or checked out every option or the detail of every option. But I think you can pretty much get your money back for the whole season from what I've quickly seen, or you can get a credit for next year's membership. Something like that. So,
well, that's all right. If you get a credit for next year's membership, it's not a bad thing. I think it was the option if there's no live games, whatever live games you don't get to see.
I'm
credited back.
I haven't gone through it in detail. I did click on it to open up, on the email to open up into the browser, but everyone must have been looking at the same time because the site was crashed. So it was it took you through to Ticketmaster, who run the ticketing. And there was nothing on there. It wouldn't show up. So I'll try again later. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with mine. I haven't thought about it yet. So
just decisions. Well,
I mean, I'd like to be able to just donate the money to the club, but not that they really need it. But if I was in a position where it didn't matter to me, then I would say, have it. But I don't know.
It's true. It's like they don't really need it. They don't really need it. But in saying that, whatever cash reserves they would have had would be pretty heavily depleted this year.
I'm sure they've dipped into the savings, but haven't we all? So
they're not going to probably be as strong as what they probably would have been. Well, if obviously the season went ahead, you obviously know that. But
did you listen to our podcast last week?
No, I didn't. I haven't done that.
So you haven't heard the clip that I put on the end of it?
No, I haven't. I haven't had time, to be honest.
Seriously, do you participate in this thing or not?
I do.
All right. So at the end of the podcast, so what I'm starting to do now is to put, some sort of, I don't know, something that I find on YouTube, basically, that interests me. And as long as it's, trying not to breach any copyright issues. But last week I put on the intro to the Chicago Bulls 1996 NBA Finals Game 6, so the game where they clinched their fourth title, and it was the first one when after Mike Jordan came back. So you know how, I mean, the Wildcats do it too. I think most basketball teams do it. They have it like the awesome intro music, and they
actually the Chicago Bulls one's really good.
Yes, it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so that's why I put it on there. Yeah, but anyway, go back and check that out, or I put the YouTube clip on the Facebook page as well. Have you seen Donald Trump's new press secretary?
No, I haven't.
Google her, all right? Just type.
Good?
She's brilliant. You got to see her, man. She's, what's her name? McEnany. Kayleigh McEnany. So just do a Google search for. You want to answer this phone or what?
No, that's what it is.
Please answer. We'll take the call on live on podcast. With someone ring up there, hi, can I get JobKeeper?
It probably would be, actually.
Exactly. So Google Trump's press secretary, basically, and all these videos will come up of her just kicking ass. Oh, she's just brilliant. So reporters I think she's new. She must be another new one. He's gone through about 3 or 4 since he's been in office.
Well, we had, Sean Spicer was the original one?
He was a joke.
No, Sean Spicer was all right. He wasn't too bad. Then you had Sarah. Oh, then you had the Mooch. Remember the Mooch? He turned out to be...
Yeah, what did he last, a day?
10 days, and he turned out to be, very anti-Trump now.
You know, the Trump's press secretaries have always been grilled by, you know, all his detractors,
media, yeah.
Basically the left-wing media, CNN and all them. And they're trying to get her with gotcha questions, and she's just like, she's ready, she's prepared, and she's firing back, and these reporters have nothing to say. Oh, just watch any video, basically, of her. She's just taking names and kicking ass. She's awesome. So they're trying to get her with gotcha questions, and she's firing gotchas straight back at the media. How come you haven't reported on this about the Democratic Party or about Obama when he was in office and all this kind of stuff? So everything that they're trying to take down Trump for, she's got a response for. She's so good. She's so well prepared. It's awesome.
Good on her. Good on her. Hey, speaking of prepared, what do you think of our Premier in the whole football saga?
I haven't. I've only seen what you sent through to me, but I don't think I watched the video. Oh, I watched a little bit, like the first 10 seconds.
No, I was like, you know how they're talking about the AFL and he's sticking by his guns. Now he's called the Victorians. What do you say with the last comment? I'm like,
they're being precious or something, or
yeah. I'm like, honestly, like I get it. Yeah, whether you're right or wrong, you're a premier of this state. Why you're arguing with a sporting organisation? It isn't your job. It's not your duty. And you're doing this for political points now. This isn't about political points. All right? You should be worried about getting WA back on the road to recovery. Don't want having arguments.
For these AFL hubs, WA was not an option because of the 2-week quarantine rule? Is that why?
Yeah, 2-week quarantine.
And he wouldn't relax it for the AFL.
No, he wouldn't relax it. No.
Right. So that's why.
Which I think, yeah.
That's why Perth was out of the question.
And then he said, why don't you bring them all here? I was like, I can understand. You bring 16 clubs to where the 2 clubs are. It's a bit silly. I mean, but anyway. What can I say? I think he's overreacted a little bit. That's my opinion as a West Australian. It's like, you're doing us West Australians any favours. I mean, his comment was, I didn't call them pampered. I obviously wasn't strong enough. What I meant was, are they overindulged and spoiled? It's like,
this is to an extent true.
Yeah, but I'm not disputing that. But your job is the premier, not to argue with the AFL.
Yeah.
So why are you picking a battle with the sporting organisation? It's not your job. Let the media sort that out. It's not your job. Your job is to run the state, worry about electricity prices, why the Western Power still sending out bills, why is the Water Corp still sending out bills?
Well, they're still sending me bills, that's for sure.
Exactly. We're all still getting bills during times of COVID.
Do I not have to pay my utilities bills at the moment?
Well, no, you still have to pay. Of course you have to pay.
Oh, damn, it's beyond.
There was a presser conference the other day. It said we're keeping a freeze on prices. You know, the one he said about the utility prices. Well, I looked at I've actually kept my bill from last year for my water and my bill from this year. I've actually used less water this year than I did this same time last year, and yet my bill's more. So I'm trying to work it out. So I thought there was supposed to be a freeze on prices. How's my bill gone up so much?
What else you got for me?
Oh, no, it's just I was just saying, watching that Jordan documentary, really good. I still love that. So involved in that documentary.
Final 2 on Monday night. It's going to be sad when it's over.
It is. I'm really taking my hat off to the editor, but for having the foresight.
They've been editing the final episodes while the previous ones have been airing. Like it wasn't completely finished, and then they started releasing them. They've still been editing, but obviously now it's finished. But yeah, like even up to a week ago, I was listening to interviews with the director, and they were still editing the final episodes.
The foresight of the director, whoever it was, to film that season, to get that footage.
Oh yeah,
was incredible.
Well, I think it was, if I remember right, I think it was organised by the NBA themselves to follow the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, Mr. David Stern. That's pretty impressive. Actually, he passed away now.
And then the director's gone and got hold of the footage and used it for the documentary. And also, I think they're very smart that they've done an unusual thing by releasing them 2 at a time over 4 or 5 weeks.
Genius.
Rather than doing the usual Netflix thing, which is to just drop a whole season or a whole series at once. I think that they've kept up interest and intrigue, because it would have lasted, say, 2 weeks if they had dropped it all at once. But now it's stretched out over, longer, probably 2 months, I suppose.
Because like now you look, they've got the ESPN have released the greatest 74 players to play the game.
Have they?
Just obviously coincides with, they did 74 for 74 years of NBA. Some dubious decisions in there. And being, in my opinion, number 27, pick number 20, which is Giannis. The kid, his name's Giannis Antetokounmpo. For a Greek guy. Anyway, he's at number 27, but he's only been playing 4 or 5 years. I'm like, how does he make the top 7? He's still in the. He hasn't even hit his peak yet. Yes, the guy's amazing. He won an MVP, but come on.
At the end of the day, when all these subjective lists are made after the first 5, and this could be the top 50 AFL players of all time, doesn't matter. After the first 5, the rest is a toss up, and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Well, Sam, you look at soccer. So who would you put top 5? I mean, where would you start?
Maradona. Don't anyone ever argue that it's Pele or Lionel Messi or Ronaldo. Don't even start the conversation. All right, you have no clue if you don't say Maradona. That's the start and end of the conversation.
I agree with you on that one. And then I don't really think Pele was as great as.
I don't think I'd even put Pele second, because obviously it's before our time, but I've seen enough to know that he was playing against witches' hats compared to Maradona, and even compared to what Ronaldo and Messi play against now, right? Pele played against numpties.
Well, so there's obviously 4 greats, and you got to fill out the list. It'll be quite interesting, actually. We should bring that up on our pod.
I couldn't rattle off my top 5 or top 10 for you. I'd have to have a real think about it. But yeah, I mean, it starts and finishes with Maradona basically. And okay, best, obviously a lover of Italian football, best Italian player ever.
That's a tough one. Who would you put?
That's an easy one.
Well, for you, yeah, Baggio.
It's Baggio.
Yeah, but Maldini was great. He's a champion player.
All right. Who wins the Brownlow medals? Okay, it's the midfielder. It's the creative player. True. So that's going to be the conversation for the best football player, the best NBA player, the best whatever player, right? For me, the greatest Italian player ever is Baggio. Does he fit into the top 10 in the world of all time? For me, yes, but I don't know where. I'd have to think about where. Probably towards the back end of the top 10. You've also got to put into the conversation Gianni Rivera, who was a Baggio-like player, but obviously of a previous era. Who else? Then there's Mazzola, who was part of the Grande Torino team that crashed in 1949 in the airplane crash. But Mazzola was probably the star, in a team of stars and a star team. But yeah.
Like in AFL, they were watching. There was the Sunday Footy Show, and they were talking who's the greatest AFL player.
The greatest AFL player ever.
They'll go. One goes Wayne Carey, and the other one said Lee Matthews, and I'm like, two different style of player.
Well, it's going to be a midfielder, right? It's going to be that midfield player. It always is.
So I didn't watch enough of Lee Matthews. Obviously,
was Lee Matthews? He was the runner out of midfield, basically, wasn't he? That type of player.
Yeah, he was very dirty.
I suppose a Judd, Chris Judd type of player, is that?
Yeah, Chris Judd type of player in the modern era. Yeah.
Lee Matthews tarnished himself with that whack that he did
on Neville Bruns.
Was it Bruns? Okay,
Bruns. Yeah, it was when he cleaned him up
at the end of his career or something. Or?
Yeah, no, it was towards the end of his career. Yeah, and apparently my dad always talks about this particular one. Obviously, it was before our time, where it was the state game, Victoria versus West Australia, and he come across the field and just cleaned up Barry Cable, like out of nowhere.
Really? And Barry Cable was a very clean player, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very clean. My father rates Barry Cable as a player. He reckons he was amazing. Actually, I was talking waffle football with my father because he brings out these names that I never really heard of, because obviously, and like he starts rattling off these statistics. And I went to this game, and because he came here in 1960 or 61 or whatever, and he lived across the road from Leederville Oval.
So that's why he became a garlic muncher.
That's why he became a garlic muncher.
Cardinals fan. Hang on, was West Perth the Cardinals back then?
I think it was back then. Yeah, it was the Cardies back then. So hence why he became a West Perth supporter. And he did play. He donned the boots for West Perth, and he played under 16s, I think.
Did he? Your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. He played all West Perth juniors there. So
right. He never played soccer.
Well, back in those days, it wasn't really around. And he was across the road from Leederville Oval.
Never played wog ball.
Oh, things were a bit different back then. Well, really, when did it really come into fruition here in Australia? Was it? What did I don't know the history of it long enough, but when did it really become? Now it's the most popular junior sport by far, which is kind of sad because considering how many juniors actually play the game, you think about it, our competition should be much stronger than what
it hasn't translated into a strong national league or even at the moment national team.
A national team. I mean, compared to the golden era of 2006, the Aussie national team, look at the players now. Where they're coming from. Two of them play for Seoul in the K League.
There's definitely a dearth of talent at the moment, but also poor organisation. I think at the grassroots level. I mean, I don't know. Look, I haven't even been involved in soccer for a number of years now, but it seems to me this NPL setup that they've tried to put in just hasn't really translated into much. It just sounds all a bit wanky, you know what I mean? Trying to make clubs have this air of prestige about them and scamming parents for shitloads of money. And what's it turning into? You know, like kids getting better coached than we were when we were 10 years old.
We had probably two fantastic coaches as juniors. Kudos to our coaches. Oh, you had more coaches than me, obviously, but.
Right, but we'd go training 2 nights a week. I think for one season we did 3 nights a week. But anyway, generally 2 nights a week, coached by, I suppose, fathers who became, who knew the game well, so they weren't just, know-nothings, but coached pretty well. You know what I mean? Like there was a discipline about it, and I think a lot of good players came out of it around our age group or our generation.
No, I'm just saying with the grassroots, I think it's sad because what the AFL does well, or the AFL waffle / or football community, Australian Rules football community does well, is they kick down. And what I mean is if they make money, it feeds its way down to the bottom clubs. An example, just the registration costs. registration for football is $150. For soccer, was it $600? That's ridiculous.
Yet it's still the most popular,
most played,
or played sport among juniors.
So I think it's wrong that the juniors support the seniors.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm feeling. I feel the juniors, the parents pump all this money in that gives it all to the seniors. Whereas in football, it's the other way around. At least there's a little bit of grassroots gone through. Like I said, my nephew, and he pays $150 for membership, and he gets a Guernsey, a training top, a football, a bag. He gets everything. Tracksuit.
Is this subsidised from?
Yeah, I think the WAFL, the AFL WAFL / Football Commission funded a bit. So, well, how else would you do it? You wouldn't be able to do it. And if you've got good sponsors, you still need a fair bit of money to pay for all that. Because there's a lot of things.
These days, junior club teams are going over to play in competitions in Singapore and Malaysia and things like this. That's something that's new, which I would have loved that, because I reckon that my team from about under 14s to 16s would have been really competitive in that sort of competition against some, similar age teams from Asian countries, for example. That would have been an amazing experience.
Yeah, but you're paying for it. It wasn't as if it was like, thank you very much. It wasn't like Football West is saying, look, because you're the best team in the 18.
Totally. These competitions are probably organised by the clubs rather than the federation. But, and the parents are paying for it. But I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure that back in my day at around, between the age of 14 to 16, I was probably in one of the best, if not the best, team in WA for the age group.
Well, you did. You won. You actually won.
We cleaned up. And I think that the parents probably would have been keen to send us over if there was that kind of opportunity. And I think we would have done pretty well, actually. It's a shame that wasn't a thing back then, but now it seems to be.
It's just, I just find it a bit sad. It's just that they've done so well to get the game of soccer really popular in the juniors. They just can't follow it through to the next level, which is a bit wrong.
Yeah. I mean, how does that happen?
I don't know. They still do the AIS? They still do the AIS? I don't
think AIS exists anymore.
Well, they did back in our day.
Don't quote me, but I don't think it exists. I mean, a lot of that golden generation went through the AIS.
Correct.
Players like, Mark Bresciano, probably Vince Grella, Simon Colosimo was one. And not that he went to the higher level.
Player.
Yeah, but he was a decent player. But yeah, I don't know. They're just a few names that come off the top of my head. I'm sure that I think even Harry Kewell might have came through that.
Actually, he left pretty early.
Yeah.
Oh, Schwarzer, for sure. You would have gone through there.
I was Mark. What a star Mark Schwarzer is. Would you rate Mark Schwarzer as Australia's best ever goalkeeper, even above Bosnich? I think so.
I'd say I'd probably have to, yeah. They reckon, I was actually speaking to someone who knew these players, and they reckon Bosnich was as talented, talent-wise.
I actually think that Bosnich, for a short period at least, was probably a better goalkeeper than Mark Schwarzer ever was. However, Mark Schwarzer did more things for Australia and sustained it over a longer period of time. So I think that he gets the nod for Australia's greatest ever goalkeeper for me.
Well, Robbie Zabika was another good one.
Going back to Schwarzer, the other day I was watching a clip on YouTube. Do you remember when Australia played a playoff match against Canada in 1993? I think it was... You don't remember this? And Frank Farina scored a Zico.
Oh,
remember that?
Vaguely.
Now, I can't remember if it was a home and away. I think it must have been a home and away knockout thing. And the winner went on to play, if it was 93, I think the winner must have gone on to play against Argentina then. Yeah? Because that's when they got knocked. Maradona came over here and they got knocked out again.
Yeah.
So 1-1 here, and then they lost 1-0 in Buenos Aires and they were out, so they didn't qualify for the World Cup, and Argentina did.
Yeah.
Right. And I still remember the own goal, I think it was, that Australia conceded over in Buenos Aires. And I don't think anyone ever saw that game because it early hours of the morning. But anyway, Schwarzer. So I think that home game against Canada, it must have been in Sydney, was his debut for the Socceroos. So he was, I don't even know how young he was. He was, might have been 20, 21 or something.
Well, because he's only 4 or 5 years, not that much older than us.
Anyway, he went to a penalty shootout and Schwarzer, I think, saved 2. He was the star in his debut match for the Socceroos. He was the star of the penalty shootout to knock out Canada on Australia's, route to qualify for the 94 World Cup. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Look it up.
Even that game, the famous game where Aloisi scores the goal in 05, the penalty shootout against Uruguay.
And he saved 2 there as well, yes.
And then I think the other 2 went the right way anyway. I was like, oh my God, this guy's good. One he almost got.
Yeah, and I was listening to an interview on a podcast with him during the week. Now it was about a year old, this interview, but he was talking about the penalty against Italy in 2006 World Cup, about just whether he got close to the penalty or not. And he said he knew exactly which way Totti was going because he knew, he'd watched Totti many times and he knew where Totti generally puts his penalties. He said, yeah, he was always going to dive that way because he knew Totti was always going to go in that particular direction. He said, but I didn't get close to it, because he just smashed it so hard.
What he was a great keeper. And like Australia's actually, Zeljko Kalic was another great keeper. Remember him? He was good. He played for AC Milan.
Yes, and I saw him play for Perugia actually before he went to Milan. I think, I saw Paolo Maldini score against him. And it might have been a year or 2 later that Milan picked him up and he was at Milan for a while. Yeah, Zeljko Kalic was a good keeper.
He was a good keeper.
Yep.
He wasn't a bad keeper.
Unfortunately, didn't perform very well in the 2006.
Yeah, he got the opportunity to shine in against Croatia game. He didn't really, did he?
In the 2006 World Cup against Croatia in the 3rd group match. So what happened? He an easy shot and then he dropped it and it went in
and rolled in. Yeah,
rolled in. Is he Croatian background?
Croatian, yeah.
There you go. It's a conspiracy.
And I think there's probably just a lot of pressure. Well, what was the other guy's name who got 3 yellow cards that game? Was Simonic?
Simonic,
yeah. Simonic or something.
The Croatian Aussie playing for Croatia.
Yeah. He got 3 yellow cards.
What an interesting game that was, huh? How many Croatian, Australian-born Croatian background players playing for Australia in that squad.
And Viduka was one, yeah.
There was Seric, I think, was also playing for Croatia, who grew up in Australia. They had a couple. Yeah. I mean, Mark Viduka lives in Croatia now. All he does is run a little cafe outside of Zagreb. Living a, cozy life. Good on him.
Good on him.
Yeah.
He was an interesting cat too, Mark Viduka.
One of Australia's best ever strikers. Look at his highlights when he was playing for Leeds.
Oh, he was awesome there.
Oh my God.
I don't think he replicated as good talent as
he didn't translate it into. He couldn't do what he did for his clubs for Australia, unfortunately. Not that he wasn't important for Australia.
He was a powerful name there at that time, I think. Like his presence, because he was like an eldest. Oh, well, he was a big, solid man. And
I think Gus Hiddink loved him. You look at Australia's 2006 World Cup. They played Croatia with a bunch of, Croatian background players in the team. And then they went and played against Italy next. And you've got Vince Grella, Mark Bresciano, John Aloisi. Who else? Were there any other Italian background Aussies? I'm sure there were more.
Might have been. I'm sure there probably was.
Just shows you,
So we're a country of migrants.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
We're a country of migrants.
That's Australia, right? But how would you feel if you were Bresciano, Grella or Aloisi playing against Italy? Like those 3 boys obviously grew up like us, worshipping Italian football, right? And then you've got to go and play against them in a World Cup. Not that you wouldn't give your all. Of course you would. There's no question about that. But it would feel very weird for me, I think. Then Italy knocks you out, right? You're playing for Australia. Your background and your family is Italian. Italy knocks you out, then what? Do you have any interest in watching Italy carry on in their next games in the World Cup? Do you root for them in the final? Like you would have, probably 4 years before or 12 years before or whatever. Like how do you handle that? I don't know. Maybe the mindset is different when you're in their boots rather than anything else. I don't know, but that's an interesting one, I think. Anyway, what is it going to take for Australia to have a squad of the caliber of, well, that 93 one that I mentioned even? Look at the players that were playing there, the Vidmar brothers, Robbie Slater.
That was good too.
Who else? Frank Farina, Mehmet Jurakovic.
Oh, he was quality.
Oh, I used to love watching him play. Just a hard nut. Who else was in that 93? I'm sure Paul Wade. Was Paul Wade the captain then?
He might have been. Yeah, actually, you're right. He was too. Oh, was Ocon been there?
Probably. Zelic, was he around at 93?
Oh, Ned Zelic. He was, yeah, of course. Didn't he score that wicked goal for the Olympics? Which Olympics was that? The qualifier?
Is that to qualify for the 92 Olympics against Holland? You know that goal that he scored like on that ridiculous angle?
Yeah.
I think it was the next day, right? So that if I remember correctly, that goal was on a Saturday night. And the next morning, I had my junior soccer match and I scored that goal. Ridiculous. But the timing, it was almost the exact angle, the exact spot of the pitch. And I think I didn't even mean it. I think I was trying to cross the ball. But I did that. Like the day after. It was ridiculous.
Steve Corica, he was there. Wasn't Steve Corica?
Australia v Canada 1993. All right, here we go. Let's find the starting lineup. Okay, all right, here it is. I got the starting lineup. So the score was 2-1 to Australia. It went to penalties. So Australia must have lost 2-1 over in Canada. It went to penalties and Australia won on penalties 4-1. Now here's the lineup. Mark Schwarzer, Tony Vidmar, Ned Zelic, Robbie Slater, Graham Arnold, Mehmet Jurakovic, Frank Farina, Milan Ivanovic. Oh, what a player he was. I loved him. Just such a solid centre-back. Alex Tobin, another quality player. Jason Van Blerk and Aurelio Vidmar. David Mitchell and Paul Wade came on. And the goal scorers were Farina and Jurakovic. But I tell you what, Australia, Jurakovic, so put them level on aggregate and then it went to extra time and penalties. That's a decent team.
That's a decent team, man.
Right? That rivals 2006 easily. Would you say 2005, 2006 squad is better than that?
Yeah, but we're not by much.
Oh, I mean, I suppose when you take into account
Viduka Kuhl, Aloisi, Schwarzer played in both teams. Cahill.
But Schwarzer wasn't the first team keeper here. He was in for who would have been the first team keeper?
Robbie Zabika. They just put it up here. In the first leg, Robbie Zabika got a red card in the 17th minute.
Okay. Got a red card. So which keeper came on? Was it
the Schwarzer came on?
Oh, so this was his second match then?
Yeah.
So he debuted in the away leg. Right. Manager Eddie Thompson.
Yeah, but is he still alive? Eddie
no,
Thompson,
he passed away some years ago.
Formula One. We got a lot to talk about in Formula One. As you know, my heart was obviously wanted Daniel to go, but I think the moving to McLaren is really a good move for him, to be honest.
Better than Reynolds.
Way better than Reynolds. A team of history. Let's face it, the greatest driver of all time did race for him.
Exactly.
And did win a world championship with him.
Mm-hmm.
And they've produced some amazing drivers throughout the time. Great history. I do like them. And not to mention their road cars are amazing as well.
What do you think of Carlos Sainz being the next Ferrari driver?
My feeling is he's a really awesome driver. Really, really awesome driver. Okay. Now, my concern is you've got two stallions as lead drivers. I think there might be a bit of animosity in the team. And Ferrari doesn't need that because they do a good job of stuffing things up themselves. E.g., the first 3 races of last year's season, when they just gave the championship to Mercedes. I think that might cause I'm a bit worried about causing friction amongst them.
But there was already that between, probably coming from Vettel more so than Leclerc, but Vettel was obviously disgruntled.
That evolved, right? Because if you look at, technically last season, Vettel was number 1 driver, Leclerc was number 2. It changed halfway through the season. But look what happened. The animosity started and team rules and I really hope I reckon Daniel will do okay, especially next year. New powertrain. They're going to Mercedes powertrain. The chassis is not bad. They're a good team. They're a pretty smart team. I think they'll be fine. I reckon they'll actually be all right. They could actually challenge. It'll be, instead of being a 3-horse race, it's going to be a 4-horse race.
Well, do you think that Daniel will have the opportunity to be a challenger for the championship?
I don't say a challenger for the championship, but I think changing powertrain might make things a little bit different.
Oh, I hope so.
But next year's going to prove a bit interesting if the F1 with the new rules and regulations going forward. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen with the car. Well, I mean, obviously they're trying to get a bit of parity amongst the team because I don't think Mercedes winning all the time is good for Formula One.
Of course not. Just like Juventus winning eight in a row is not good for Serie A. But, it happens. The best wins.
Yeah. But it's not good for, especially Formula One, because at the end of the day, it's a little bit, I suppose, football's probably a little bit different, but Formula One is a spectacle that people want to see overtaking. They want to see changes. They want to see leader. That's half the reason why we watch it. I still reckon they got to bring fuel strategy back. I reckon.
Hang on a sec. Here we go. The Sydney Morning Herald, 1 day ago. Why Daniel Ricciardo passed up the chance to join Ferrari. So you're going to tell me he passed up the chance? Or is this just Australian media talking shit? Because, come on, you'd drive for free, wouldn't you? Surely.
Simon, I don't know. I can't answer that.
I would. For Ferrari.
Okay, here we go. You drive for Ferrari for free, or you get 20 mil a year to drive for McLaren.
Yeah, all right.
All right, yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to have I wouldn't say yes straight away to either one.
Come on.
Come on, man. It's Ferrari. It's the dream.
Play for Roma for free or go play for Inter for 50 million?
Roma for free. Roma for free. I'm sorry. I would not tarnish my name for generations to come.
Okay. I'll rephrase it. Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that one. Okay. Roma for free or Man United for 50 million? Come on. There you go.
Man United's a good squad. Good. It's a quality club. You're a fucking asshole.
But you understand what I'm saying? Okay, because that's okay. You know what I'm trying to say. It's not going to another. You're not going to a terrible team because it's not your favourite. But
if it's into, there's no question. I don't care about money. Doesn't come into it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But okay, but saying you don't hate McLaren, because Man United might be the McLaren of Formula One because they've had some great players.
Fell in love with Senna when he was a McLaren driver. So
exactly, there you go.
So McLaren's got that.
They've had some great drivers. I mean, Alonso raced for him. Button was a really good racing car driver. Hamilton, can't deny his credentials. Mate, they've had some really good drivers. Really, really. Kimi raced for him. Mika Hakkinen. It's a pretty good lineup of past and present drivers. Alonso going back to Renault. Rumour has. And he's signed up to go back to Renault for 2021.
What? Alonso?
Yeah.
He retired. I hadn't heard that.
And his wage is being paid by Liberty Media, apparently.
So coming out of retirement. And what? So he was, 1 year in retirement?
21 hours ago. Here we are. It says Alonso to Renault with Liberty footing the bill.
Yeah. He's 38 years old. Oh, well.
Yeah. So
What did Schumacher drive to? About 40, 41?
Yeah, 2012 was his last race. They would have made him 42. But he should never have driven for Mercedes. Kind of tarnished his career a bit.
Wow.
Tarnished his career.
He's German at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, not so much about racing for the team. It's just like he didn't do his career statistics too well.
Yeah.
Because the car itself was miles.
How often do you see in sport, and you could even say Michael Jordan when he went to Washington
Well, he actually
Wizards.
didn't do too bad. Yeah, but he didn't do too bad at the Wizards.
I know, but you're always going to be compared to your prime days.
But his average was still 30 points per game. He finished with an average of 30 points per game.
Also because he didn't have the players around him, he had to take more control, more charge.
I think he always took control of every game.
Name a decent player that Jordan had on Washington Wizards with him.
I can't recall.
You can't, can you? Yeah.
Oh, that's one thing going back to the documentary I love about was how like they used to wind up Michael Jordan during the games, and then was it Horace Grant said that reckons Nate Robinson went up to him and he goes 45 ain't 23,
Mm-hmm.
and Horace Grant goes, why did you say that? Did you?
And he comes out the next night with number 23.
Yeah.
It's a red flag to a bull, isn't it? Literally to a Chicago Bull.
To Chicago, and hence what Horace Grant said. Like, what did you do that for? And same with BJ Armstrong. His ex-teammate, did the same thing to him.
Yes. You celebrate too much against Michael Jordan, you pay for it. And he would make up stories as well in his own head, Jordan, to use it as fuel to come and smash you the next time you.
And the other one was what was that guy's name? Was the guy played for the Washington Bullets at the time? Scored 37 points.
Washington Bullets.
Yeah, because that's the Wizards before they changed to be gun friendly. They changed their name. And he scored like 37 points on him. And he goes, good game, Mike, as they walked off.
Ah, yes.
LeBron, was it the...
I don't remember the name. I didn't even remember the team.
I never heard him.
Yeah, because Jordan didn't have a very good game. So to hear good game, it was like rubbing salt in the wounds.
From a bloke who's a nobody, he had scored 37 points.
And the next game towed him up.
Towed him up hard. The guy didn't even touch the ball. Nice game, Mike.
I got to watch this whole series all over again, I reckon, once it's all done.
Think we should leave it there, Simon?
Yeah, I've just got an email from Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
He's released the live Songs of Summer series, on Spotify. So I'll get that going while I'm doing a bit of work today. You beauty. Thanks, Bruce.
All right, I'll leave you to it.
Adios, amigo.
All right. Ciao, buddy.
Take it easy. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
See, I'm not one of these people who's worried about everything. You got these people around you. The country's full of them now. People walking around all day long, worried about everything. Worried about the air, worried about the water, worried about the soil. Worried about pesticides, insecticides, food additives, carcinogens, worried about radon gas, worried about asbestos. Worried about saving endangered species. Let me tell you about endangered species, all right? Saving endangered species is just one more arrogant attempt by humans to control nature. It is arrogant meddling. It's what got us in trouble in the first place. Doesn't anybody understand that? Interfering with nature. Over 90%, way over 90% of all the species that have ever lived on this planet, are gone. They're extinct. We didn't kill them all. They just disappeared. That's what nature does. They disappear these days at the rate of 25 a day, regardless of our behavior, I mean. Irrespective of how we act on this planet, 25 species that were here today will be gone tomorrow. Let them go gracefully. Leave nature alone. Haven't we done enough? We're so self-important. So self-important. Everybody's going to save something now. Oh, save the trees, save the bees, save the whales, save those snails. And the greatest arrogance of all, save the planet. What? Are these fucking people kidding me? Save the planet? We don't know how to take care of ourselves yet. We haven't learned how to help one another. We're going to save the fucking planet? I am getting tired of that shit. I'm tired of fucking Earth Day. I'm tired of these fucking self-righteous environmentalists. I'm tired of these white, liberal, Bourgeois, liberal, white people who think the only thing wrong with this planet is there aren't enough bicycle paths. Trying to make the world safe and clean for their Volvos. And I'm really sick of these rock stars and movie stars gonna work off their cocaine guilt by saving a forest somewhere. Besides, there's nothing, first of all, the environmentalists don't give a shit about the planet. They don't care about the planet. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced. Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there's nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are fucked. The people are fucked. Compared to the people, the planet is doing great. The planet has been here for 4.5 billion years, all right? 4.5 billion. We've been here, what, 100,000? Maybe. 200,000? Maybe. And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion. And we have the conceit to think that somehow we're a threat, that somehow we're going to put in jeopardy this beautiful little blue-green ball that's just floating around the sun. Planet has been through a lot worse than us for a long time. Been through earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drift, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, bombardments for hundreds of thousands of years by comets and asteroids and meteors, sandstorms, erosion of all kinds, cosmic radiation, worldwide fires, worldwide floods, recurring ice ages, and we think some aluminum cans and some plastic bags are going to make a difference? Planet isn't going anywhere. We are. We're going away. We're going away. Pack your shit, folks. We're going away. And we won't leave much of a trace either. Thank God for that. Maybe a little styrofoam. Planet will be here and we'll be long gone. Just another failed mutation. Just another closed-end biological mistake. And then an evolutionary cul-de-sac. Planet will shake us off like a bad case of fleas. A surface nuisance. You want to know how the planet's doing? Ask those people in Pompeii who are frozen into position from volcanic ash. How the planet's doing. Want to know if the planet's all right? Ask the people in Mexico City or Armenia or 100 other places buried under thousands of tons of earthquake rubble if they feel like a real threat to the planet this week. How about the people in Kilauea, Hawaii, who build their homes right next to an active volcano and then wonder why they have lava in the living room? Planet is going to be here a long, long, long time after we're gone, and it will heal itself. It will cleanse itself, because that's what it does. It's a self-correcting system. The air and the water will recover. The earth will be renewed. And say, if it's true that plastic doesn't degrade, well, the planet will simply incorporate plastic into a new paradigm, the Earth plus plastic. The planet doesn't share our prejudice towards plastic. Plastic came out of the Earth. The Earth probably sees plastic as just another one of its children. Could be the only reason the Earth allowed us to be spawned from it in the first place. It wanted plastic for itself. Didn't know how to make it. Needed us. Could be the answer to our age-old philosophical question, why are we here? Plastic. Assholes. So, the plastic is here. Our job is done. We can be phased out now. And I think that's really started already, don't you? I mean, to be fair, the planet probably sees us as a mild threat, something to be dealt with. And I'm sure the planet will defend itself in the manner of a large organism, like a beehive or an ant colony can muster a defense. I'm sure the planet will think of something. What would you do if you were the planet trying to defend against this pesky, troublesome species? Let's see. What might... Viruses. Viruses might be good. They seem vulnerable to viruses. And viruses are tricky, always mutating and forming new strains whenever a vaccine is developed. Perhaps this first virus could be one that compromises the immune system of these creatures. Perhaps a human immunodeficiency virus, making them vulnerable to all sorts of other diseases and infections that might come along. And maybe it could be spread sexually, making them a little reluctant to engage in the act of reproduction. Well, that's a poetic note. And it's a start. And I can dream, can't I? I don't worry about the little things. Bees, trees, whales, snails. I think we're part of a greater wisdom than we will ever understand. A higher order. Call it what you want. You know what I call it? The big electron. The big electron. Whoa. 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 It doesn't punish. It doesn't reward. It doesn't even judge. It just is. And so are we, for a little while. Thanks for being here with me for a little while tonight.